Hey everybody, I'm Nico.
And I'm TK, which stands for Thanksgiving,
Oh, it sure
because there's
does.
a T and a K in it.
Oh, and I think that's the way you got to be. I mean, like we are here to not just talk comics today, because this is in fact X is for podcast, your favorite media response show. It's what we do. But we are also here to give a little comic thanks before it's time to skedat for some turkey.
Heck yeah.
So I am very excited to be talking about the books we're talking about today. We've got a really fun lineup. We're going to be talking about some number ones like West Coast Avengers, Justice League Unlimited, and Black Canary. We're also going to be taking a look at the titles of the Ultimate Universe that are going on right now. I'm really excited because I keep rereading it or like reading some of it and then rereading it. Like I'm having a really interesting reaction to it. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I'm not here for it.
I feel that.
So one of the big things that I've been thinking about this week with everything going on as we rush toward the end of this sort of calendar year with comics is I was thinking about where we were 1 year ago. And I was thinking about the fact that we were already bemoaning the dragged out end of Krakoa like a full year ago. And now it's over. It really is done. Like Krakoa's gone and it's kind of a tough thing. Whoa, my ring light just, there we go. But one of the things that it is making me realize is like, we jumped into this new era so fast in X-Men that now I really do feel like one of the things is we're stuck in this new era for like, for better or for worse, this new era now already feels rote.
It's weird because like it does feel rote, but it's the already is weird for me. Like it started that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't even like quickly sunk into anything. We like started where we are and it feels like we're not super going anywhere.
Well, and that's what's even been kind of tricky for me because like I feel like a lot of the books are treading water, and what isn't treading water is hoping to sort of just keep us going on a vibe. I would say that this is maybe even a little bit more of a problem at DC, and we haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to ding DC for a whole lot lately. Really, good for them. But like, if I did have to give them a big old juicy ding, it would be that sometimes I feel like the same characters are appearing in a couple of books, and it's kind of getting hard to recognize the iterants of that character. I'm like super excited to see Lady Shiva running around in Black Canary, where she's fucking fabulous. What a great issue. But I'm not sure how that's the same Lady Shiva that was running around Tate Bromble's amazing first Batgirl issue. So I just sort of find myself a little like, we're kind of riding ideas of characters, and one of the biggest places we commented on that was we really commented on that for oh my gosh, Daredevil running around in Scarlet Witch a couple last week. We were talking about how as much as Daredevil is like the fucking man in Scarlet Witch, that's actually a little bit more the man than Daredevil is in his own title right now.
Also just want to say hi, Crazy Brownie, we like you too. Thanks for coming and hanging with us. That Daredevil was really just the Daredevil Steve Orlando wanted to have in his life, which I completely respect because that's the Daredevil that you and I kind of want to have in our life, but it is not the Matt Murdock upon the pages of Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil, and that's a bit of a thing. Some dings for DC. Weirdly, not enough women writing there, even though, like, when you started me on this, there were, and then a lot of new stuff got announced and there were no women on it, and Tom King seems to be getting a lot of jobs, so I feel like maybe take one or two away from Tom King. All jobs need to go to Tom King.
Or let's just throw a backup story. Like, I'm not even trying to split A-B book, like where they're both A titles even. Like, whatever happened to the good old double single?
Yeah. And so that has been a bit of a ding. I have also kind of realized what you say is true. Like, we're seeing a lot of the same characters just appear over and over again. And that's a kind of for better or worse thing. It's what was really sinking in with me with Justice League Unlimited is that they don't have mutants. They don't have a group of people that, like, everybody's a superhero, but like, I don't know, when you get down to Karma sometimes, or like not even Karma, let's say Galora, Karma's girlfriend. She can be in a book and rock the book. Sarah Bella, who was once Martha Johansson, can rock a book, but you're sort of not expected to know who they are the way I feel like you're expected to know who Red Tornado is, and then you're supposed to really quickly pick up that they're saying Reddy. Reddy is the last name of a good friend of mine, so I was like, oh, it's some dude named like John Reddy, and I'm just missing what character that is. But no, it's a sweet nickname for Red Tornado, who is sort of everybody is foundational to the Justice League at this point, where it's like when Marvel heroes show up, if there's 20 people on the page that you have no idea who they are, that's just because that's like a kid that helped out one time that has powers that they were like, we need that kid because he's close by. And I guess it's not a ding, but it is a thing that like I feel a lot. It's like you kind of do need to know who every hero is in DC.
That's kind of how I felt about that double splash, that beautiful double splash in Black Canary, where I sat there, I like turned the book to Kevo and I was like, Kevo, let me label them for you. I had such a great time with that. Yeah. And so like, I feel like one of the things that I'm glad that we kind of started here with that part of the conversation, and I want to bring it to something in the title for a minute.
Yeah.
The unbelievable, and Kevo backing me up, it's true, right? It's Janet Jackson eating popcorn. But one of the things that it is for me is like, I'm loving this Ultimate Universe because there's 5 things. There's 5 books in the Ultimate Universe, and there isn't 4. There's 5. There's X-Men, Ultimates, Spider-Man, Black Panther, and the looming idea of the villain book that's not there, right? So we have this sort of like looming prospect of the 5th book that's never really there. Like the way the city is the 5th girl, you know what I mean? The Lanai is the 5th golden girl, right? You know, or maybe it's cheesecake, I don't know. But the end of the day, I cannot figure out for the life of me how meant to be kind of Sook. It's so funny that we're covering Sook over on Black Canary. Ryan Sook, the guy who launched X Factor Investigations with Peter David with that beautiful art style, so incredible. It's sort of meant to be like an edgy, gritty kind of Sook vibe, I think, you know, Lionel Francis Yu. With the, I can never kind of tell what Chichetta was doing over on Amazing Ultimate Spider-Man. Sorry, this one, a couple of them felt kind of like Amazings. But like, how is Peach Momoko's, how is that X-Men book gonna go in the middle? How is that gonna, like, if we do an old fashioned Extinction Agenda style crossover where part 1 is Ultimates, part 2 is Ultimate Spider-Man, sorry, part 3 is Ultimate Black Panther, part 4 is Ultimate X-Men, how the fuck are we gonna go issue to issue through these artists? And like, because I can't imagine what some of these characters look like in other art styles right now.
With Ultimate X-Men, that is a notable thing. I mean, nobody has ever drawn the Demon Days worlds who isn't Peach Momoko, which is good. What struck us earlier, the last time we did one of these, was that I don't know how this book fits in. I ultimately what it is it's Japan. It's a small kind of offset country in this larger picture, and that's plausible, but it's still a little bit weird. It's still a little bit difficult to understand how. And then in the time since then, children of the Atom have become a little more prominent, and now we've seen Viper, and now I can very clearly see how. And again, this speaks to the other thing you're saying, which is like we're missing a book, or there's like the idea of a book, and maybe it will be a book. We know we're getting other books, but like the next one we're getting is Wolverine. But you can see, because we did the earlier Ultimate Universe story that showed us the villain count, the Makers Council. I think it's fair to call them the Villain Council. We know all of those characters are out there, and anytime we meet a heavy-hitting villainous type character, they inevitably are tied back to, like, you know, Fisk wasn't in the room in the Ultimate Universe Villain Council, but it immediately became clear that Fisk is one rung away from being one of those people. And like ultimately, if in, you know, the next check-in with the council, they say we're nominating Fisk, no one's going to be surprised. Similarly, Viper, now that she's there, you're like, oh, okay, if Viper shows up on the council and is like, the Children of the Atom are freaking out, now we know how the X-Men book fits in, but I don't necessarily know how the characters will... I mean, I can even understand how the characters will fit in. I don't know how they're going to escape Peach Momoko's style, which is like, I don't know, it's like the opposite of damning with faint praise. It's such high praise that it is... I don't know. I don't quite know what to do about it. It's going to be tough the first time somebody else draws those characters, and it's not Peach. I feel bad for the next guy, is what I guess what it comes down to.
And I want to add to that, because I'm so glad you brought up Ultimate Wolverine, which I agree, Andrew, absolutely. Yes, Daddy Wolverine, no doubt. I am, you know, I before there was Akihiro, I thought I was going to be Wolverine's gay son. Look at the fuck how that worked out. But like, you know, it's a total, here's a Remington Steele for you. It's a total Tori Amos Invisible Boy moment. We're all just sitting on our podcast crying about how it's us, right? And so I thought I was going to be Wolverine's gay kid, and then I wasn't. How that happened. But what threw me off was, like, I realized, so Akihiro appears in Ultimate X-Men now. Okay. But then we're getting Ultimate Wolverine. Okay. Now, Storm appears in Ultimate Black Panther, but we have May Storm, who, for all intents and purposes, a white-haired weather witch with lightning earrings. Like, she is Storm. And so, like, one of the things that is maybe a little bit on my nerves looking at the Ultimate Universe is they were like, uh-oh, that's not where you think Storm is going to be. Oh, no, but there's a Storm in Ultimate X-Men. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's not where you think Wolverine's going to be. Oh, no, but Wolverine's still running around. He's technically the Winter Soldier. Everybody calm down. And then they're like, you know, the Hulk, he's not what you expect. Oh, no, because he's also the Iron Fist. Like, the thing that I'm getting a little overwhelmed by here is everything's two things, except the things that are just one thing that we're going to do two of, so nobody loses out. Like, you're having it both ways. You're sequeling the prequel, and when you're trying to give us a midquel, and it's only one fucking movie.
Maystorm is a notably weird one, because the one thing that can't ever happen is there can't not be a Storm. If there is an opportunity for Storm to be there, you just can't have a Japanese Storm and not have Aurora Monroe. She is such an important character to so many people. It would be wrong. And you can have a character who idolizes Storm, who is a Japanese girl. Like, it's just a little awkward. It just feels like this maybe is not the character to introduce while this universe is being birthed, and you're introducing fundamental characters. Storm is foundational to what we think of as the Marvel Universe. And so when you're making a new Marvel Universe, of course she should be there. And of course, somebody like Peach Momoko would love Storm and would maybe want to use Storm, and was told no, like, we can't make that work. So she comes up maybe with an idea for kind of an alternate version, and it's not as though Aurora Monroe is made Japanese. It is that a Japanese girl completely unrelated to her idolizes her, so dresses like her, keeps her hair like her, happens to have her powers. Okay, I think as an editor, I go, I love this idea, and I don't think it's a no, but it's a not right now.
It's a maybe not Storm.
It's a yeah, exactly. May be not Storm. I just think I even like the character.
Same.
And she's fantastic great in the book.
Yep.
But to your point, so Hulk is combo Hulk Iron Fist, and then Storm is split into two things, because Maystorm is also serving the role of Storm in the X-Men, because Storm is not in the Storm's not with the mutants. So May Storm is the mutant Storm.
Right.
So we have taken the core of Storm and split it into two things. And it only becomes a problem for me insofar as I actually am. This universe is really growing on me. I'm really starting to enjoy it. I don't hate starting from scratch. And I like that this one didn't feel the pressure that the original one felt, the original Ultimate Universe felt, to be like, we're going to simplify, we're going to streamline. Oh shit, we're 13 issues in and we've already introduced convoluted plots. And now this is just another convoluted universe that runs alongside the Marvel Universe. Oh, look, we have twins doing incest. Best plot ever. So this one started with the idea that it was just going to be what it was. It was going to be whatever it was.
And the way we dogged that fucking miniseries, the way we dogged it.
And honestly, it's not a great entry. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't do anything to get you hyped.
Nope.
You do have to dig into this, and it's a little reasonable because it's only 4 books. But I also sort of am like, where do we go from here? I don't know. I have a lot of questions.
It makes me really want to understand a little bit more about the longevity picture. This is like, I think about other things that did this kind of like borrow back baby bit. Like, so you start the Moon Senshi-verse with Sailor V, which came first, and then Sailor Moon is a response to Sailor V that incorporates this fictional story. They treat the Sailor V manga as a movie series, a manga series in Sailor Moon. So this thing that came out a couple of years before Sailor Moon actually is a direct prequel. Frequently, those are generated later. Those are created after the fact. Right. I think about how, like, one of my biggest things that I don't talk about on air much and I don't talk about it to people much because it's really weird, is I've seen every episode of the original Dark Shadows. Really just my thing when I was a kid, and Sci-Fi Network showed the whole thing on repeat all the time. I was big fan. Found out that the actual show that you think it is doesn't start for 347 episodes. Were you also Dark Shadows person?
Huge. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah. And so, like, that's exactly how I watched it. And so, like, but like when you go back and you try and get into it, it doesn't exist as you think it will for hundreds of episodes. And the reason that's so significant in my mind is because I think about something like 90210, Luke Perry, Dylan McKay doesn't show up for several episodes. He's partially through the first season. I think about the fact that, Storm doesn't come into as you said, she's foundational for the Marvel Universe. What we know the Marvel Universe to be starts in like 1961, 1963. Anything before that is Sailor V. Anything before that is the prequel manga, right? And then we get to this beautiful place where we're locked into what the Marvel Universe is. And within a decade or so, we get Storm. And since then, there's never really been going back. She is such a centerpiece that is why I am kind of like, I think about Chris Claremont's later Exiles and how they were a little bit wacky, and how there was like Gambit as Namor's son, the Prince of Atlantis, or Mystique was actually an 1890s dapper dandy man who was not blue at all. And how weird that was. Oh, they were so fucking fun. They were so fun. It's actually a really fun era. It's not
like
great.
2002.
No, it's like 2009. It's like it's way after.
Name books. I didn't.
Oh, I've read every book ever called Exiles. Like that is a thing that like I'm really proud of. It's like one of my favorite titles. Everything I pitch is.
I loved Exiles for a while, but I did not like when Claremont came back on it or came on it.
Honestly, I kind of lost it a little bit more during the Bedard issues. The world tour was not for me.
Yeah, I agree.
As much as I loved those ideas, but and I'm so glad we have that to share. But so I think about like these really weird versions of these characters, and I think, wow, you know what? You're so right. You said something so true. You could never really have a not Black Storm. It would kind of be wrong. And so every culture is welcome and encouraged to have their iterations of such a powerful, strong, beautiful figure. It just could never encroach on the valuability of her power to the Black community by denying Black Storm.
And because we have not given Black characters their fair share, there just still are not enough Black X-Men, and they're not huge enough. Like, we were getting somewhere with Sync. It's part of the reason. That's one of the things that guts me most about Krakoa being over, is that we were moving Sync into that lineup. And I think one of the things if Krakoa had kept going is he would have stayed at that level until you couldn't take him off of that level. And now he's not in any books. Now he's gone. And you never will see an X-Men era, and not at the very least have a clear idea of where Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Rogue, Gambit, Jubilee. Well, Jubilee's even getting a little low, but I can name so many white people who you will always know they're there, or if they're not there, there's a huge reason why, and we'll explain it, and they'll be back soon, and please don't yell at us. Storm is essentially the only Black X-Man for whom that applies. Nico, this is just such a... I see you grooving to it too. I was just listening to this song the other day. This is, of course, Nico covering Bambi Thug, the phenomenal Irish contender for Eurovision. And it's such a good song. I love it no matter what. I will admit, if it's just like a lounging day at home, this is not going to be a song that I put on, but she has done an amazing piano-only cover of it that's very beautiful. But this is just such a chill in between. Anyway, shout out to Bambi Thug, shout out to Nico Action. Go to Nico Action Music and listen to all of it. Storm is the only Black character. Bishop is not there right now, and there's no explanation for why. We know he's coming back, but Tom Brevoort was kind of like, yeah, fuck Bishop. He's too confusing. Like, we don't want to confuse you guys with our Marvel comics, so no Bishop. But like, that is the only Black man that appears a lot of the time. And so really the only Black X-Man who is at that level is Storm, and therefore it is very important that not be fucked with. Truly, it does not matter if you, for some reason, make Rogue any nationality, any background, any gender, anything going on. Doesn't matter with Scott. Doesn't matter with Jean. They have been everywhere. We have seen them in every iteration in the universe. In the Marvel universe, they are one of the Scott and Jean are one of the foundational romances. Jean is now a fundamental force in the universe. You can do whatever you want to them. The universe, the Marvel comics has established these two are really important. But, the fact of the matter is there are a lot of Asian characters that don't get that status. And I sort of love that Peach Momoko's response was to take every Japanese character that has ever been named in the X-Men orbit and put them together. They're all there in Japan together now. And she's even taken a few who are not Japanese. And, in the case of Maystorm, again, I think it's a great character. I just think I as an editor, I would have said, let's introduce her after the first 12. But like Maury, who is Molly Hayes, but a different character. I love Maury.
And is best friends with Nico, who is now an X-Man because they ever do an Ultimate Runaways.
Right. Oh God, Ultimate Runaways would be incredible though.
Well, okay. I'm so glad you said that because that'll be my okay. I want to give Ultimate X-Men a score. I give everything Ultimate X-Men so far kind of a B-, and I mean this with love. As a fan of Peach and Zach, two of the most talented creators who have been running around the Marvel universes for a minute. I can't sometimes tell what the fuck is happening page to page. I can't always tell what small figure in the distance that is colored expressively is meant to be who. Sometimes characters are introduced and we're meant to recognize them right away, but it's an iterative version and I don't know who it is until the name is said. And then sometimes that's the device. So I kind of got to give this a B-. It's not my favorite book to read, but it reads a lot better all at once. That's for sure.
I do agree. It does read better all at once. it's also the book that makes me really wish that this whole universe and whole line had been published manga style. Because again, Marvel's just constantly like, why is nobody buying our books? And it's just because things are different now, and so publish along with it. Nico and I were talking about how at my local comic store, there's like a section for DC manga, and not a lot of it is great, but it sells. I think it probably sells very well for DC, and Marvel has 2 and now a third, and the third one is X-Men, and they haven't advertised it at all, and nobody has it in stock because nobody realized it was coming out. Anyway, I do think this line would be phenomenal as a manga line. And anyway, I think this is more of a BB plus for me. I'm really vibing with it. It really is resonating. It reminds me of my favorite anime of all time, Serial Experiments Lain, which is just great. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
So in that regard, one of the things we're talking about are all of the influences from Japanese culture and Peach Momoko's Japanese storytelling that are so pervasive throughout this book, and they make it so unique and they make it beautiful. My B- is more about how it fits into the universe than it is about the book itself, because like I'm trying to imagine how this paints a line. And so to that end, I think Ultimate Black Panther, might be the most obvious runaway hit, but like I don't know what's not hitting for me. There's something about like you said, a lot of Japanese ideas are pulled together from the Marvel universe and packaged beautifully by a Japanese voice, and that is so amazing. When we take a look at the artistry of Ultimate Black Panther, I do see a lot of really beautiful concepts that oftentimes white people appropriated to create in the Marvel universe that have been carefully recrafted and reconstructed by Black voices over the years. I see them re-expressed here in a new way. But one of the things I'm struggling with is I kind of feel like this is a few too many ideas all at once without enough binding agents. There's no stromata to these cells to bind the physicality, the cellulose, right? So I find myself feeling like X-Men and Black Panther are lacking in the moments between the details. And so I'm not getting a big picture. And it makes me wonder if that is in part because Marvel isn't giving these creators the page space to be Japanese and an X-Men comic the way it would take to do both. I feel like in some ways, Ultimate X-Men is a bit more expressive of a manga than it is of an X-Men title, which, brilliant, I'm here for it, yes. But then I don't believe that can possibly be 1/5 of this universe, because that's not how Marvel operates, as we've just saw from the way they burned Krakoa to the ground. They're not going to fucking care about this in 3 years, so don't lie to yourself and think that they will. So then the other side of it becomes Ultimate Black Panther is never allowed to truly be African to me, in that it always feels like it's just trying to churn out the splash pages that are going to get it an Instagram post. And I wonder how much that is editorial.
Yeah. I am less prepared to speak on the Africanness of Black Panther.
Well, by that I only meant like African recognizable.
No, I know. I'm saying like
I don't want to. I am no African studies expert.
Yeah, no. I'm saying more like I don't know if this book is resonating with people for whom that is something they need to see reflected in their comics and in themselves. Again, for me, it's like this is something I say on the show a lot. These are treats for me. Like when I get to see Peach Momoko reflect Japanese culture, I'm not Japanese. I have a little more familiarity with that culture because I'm a bit of a weeb and I love ramen. But I'm lucky to be shown what Peach wants to show me of her culture, and I'm lucky to learn what I learned from things like manga and anime and, you know, X-Men writers who are Japanese who come in and authentically share their experiences. Same thing is true with African writers and writers of African descent and people for whom they want to bring that into their titles. I know less, and so I can't even be a little bit critical about where it fits into everything, and I don't know the audience that needs that either. So it becomes really difficult for me to evaluate if they're getting it right and I'm missing stuff, or if they are like completely off the base. And by that I don't mean the creators, I mean editorial, and how editorial is allowing the book to perform. It's tough because Wakanda is a fictional African nation, which is great for African writers and Afrofuturists and people who want to tell sci-fi stories set in Afro-based worlds. Khonshu and Ra, while technically, of the African continent, very different culturally. The Western obsession with Egyptology and how that feeds into really actually Orientalism, but Egypt is not part of the Orient. But
it's the same age of we are European explorers.
Yeah, and the pyramid as a piece of exoticism that white colonizers want to explore and exploit. That's where I start to be like, okay, are you guys just lumping in all of a certain kind of thing? And the Wakanda story rocks for me. Black Panther is fantastic. Shuri is fantastic. Killmonger is fantastic. Killmonger and Storm, really great chemistry together. The sort of will they, won't they of Storm and Black Panther, because we know what goes on in the main Marvel universe with those two. There's a lot of really cool stuff. It is this interaction with this other part of the Marvel universe that isn't really solid ground in the mainline Marvel stories and isn't being reformed here to be solid ground. I don't really know. I probably would have just left Moon Knight, Ra, Khonshu out of a new universe that I'm starting, or done a different thing with Moon Knight, done a different way that he is Moon Knight than Khonshu. It's a perfectly, I like the setup of T'Challa is in a war, and they're just in a war. I think the fact that the war is with Moon Knight and with Ra and with Khonshu is just a little, I don't quite know what to do with that.
And I think it's partially for me because it goes back to the thing I said in the first place. Why is Black Panther also all of a sudden Moon Knight, also all of a sudden Storm, also all of a sudden Doctor Strange, where X-Men...
I did love that, though.
Oh, no, I loved it not. And that was one of the best character reveals in a million years. But so this is where I'm at. I want X-Men to split into two books.
Yeah.
Ultimate Children of the Atom and Ultimate X-Men.
Yes.
I want
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just want Ultimate Black Panther to split into two books as well. I want Ultimate Black Panther, and I want Ultimate, African mythology story as is being told through Black Panther's lens here. I want to understand this Moon Knight as much as I understand this Black Panther, and I barely have time for the regulars in this book, like Killmonger and Storm, although my two favorite issues by far were these last two.
Yeah. And I mean, I think part of it is that it doesn't feel like, it does really feel like they want us to understand Black Panther. They want us to understand the mystical connection to vibranium and the green metal. They want us really in deep with that. They don't super care how we feel about Moon Knight, Ra, Khonshu, any of that stuff. That's just villain shit. And I don't want a separate book that involves that at all. I want them to defeat them, and I want them to go away. And it's a perfectly fine villain insofar as the Trade Federation and the Droid Army was a great villain, but it's droids. The whole point is that it's putties and foot soldiers. You just knock them out. It's there so that Black Panther has a thing to punch, which has been good for 10 issues. But now I'm kind of like, let's move on, which is why these last two issues have been so fantastic, because we haven't actually moved on, but we moved away to go on a vacation, and the vacation is to pick up a very cool character, Anon. I think she's not the Sorcerer Supreme, or is like there's a weird reason why she's the Sorcerer Supreme.
Maybe she was the previous one, and that's what that trap on her face was that, kept her from using her powers.
Yeah,
And
something.
this set her free, and now there's
Yeah.
gonna be a battle.
Yeah. But she's very cool, and yeah.
T'Challa gaining vibraniokinesis
Yeah.
was... I hated it when I saw it. And then when the next line was, I asked it to come to me, I was super into it.
Yeah.
But the thing it made me think of instantly was, and now I'm blanking on his name, I'm so embarrassed, from Sword. The John Hickman character that can
Eden
create...
Fessy?
Eden, thank you. Who can create doorways by asking the universe to do things.
Manifold,
thank you. Which I thought was really cool, but it also makes me realize that, like, there are other cultures that talk about, like, asking of the universe instead of using the universe. It is interesting that we paint powerful black men as gentle by showing them as capable of asking. I think that is a beautiful testament to a growth in a masculine culture. And as somebody who feels a bit betrayed by his Latin origins this last couple of weeks in terms of male voting blocks, I think that is really a form of growing in masculinity that more characters could learn from in a way that would help a lot of people grow.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
Ultimately, I kind of have to give Ultimate Black Panther a little bit more like a C throughout, but a B+ for these last two issues. The thing I think is shocking is this might be the most A+ art book for things I'm not into. It's so beautiful. It is beautiful beyond belief, but it's too shiny for what I look for. I need a little ugly in my books, and I kind of feel like this book is just a little too beautiful, but it's so beautiful.
It is super beautiful. For me, it's probably a BB-. Yeah.
And so, I'm feeling really positive on that. I'm maybe feeling negative on Ultimates right now. There's so much that happens off page, and it's full of a lot of really cool ideas, but it sort of suffers from watching a movie on YouTube at 38 minutes long instead of watching a 90-minute movie. I'm missing so much, and I'm supposed to infer it, and I don't like Steve here. He's not likable. He's fine. And it's because all of the things that would give him a personality that aren't just Steve aren't here. Don't tell me I know all about him because of the other universe. No. That's not complete storytelling. It's a multiverse. It's not a same-tiverse. So don't tell me it's the same except where it's not. And so, like, there is not enough done here for my energy. There is not enough done here to make this Iron Lad actually Iron Lad, not just Tony Stark or Iron Lad from Young Avengers. It is a stunning book visually. It is trying for great things, but it is, for me, the weakest of the 5 parts of the Ultimate Universe. I'm more drawn in by the potential of what is not a book than I am by Ultimates, unfortunately, though, Dennis Camp, you are a very talented writer.
Yep, I am in the same boat as you. For my money, I feel like the pitch for me would be basically none of the Avengers. Having Sif in the book is so weird because, like, it immediately points me to, like, everybody who is an Avenger should be slightly to the left of the real Avengers. So you don't get Thor at all, period. You just get Sif.
It should be a Star Sapphire and Unlimited situation.
Yeah, I mean, that was fucking great, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, you should get Sif. You should get... It was Bucky, and there's a reason why Bucky can be Captain America right now. It should be Arno, and he was never a Stark, but he's the only person that has the genetics, so he will, the suit will unlock for him. It should be a completely different child of Hank and Janet. I don't know. I mean, I can spitball a billion different things. It should be Bill Lawrence, giant man.
Bill Foster.
Bill Foster. Sorry, Lawrence Fishburne. Thank you.
Bill Lawrence created
yes.
Scrubs and
thank you,
City
sir.
And Ted Lasso and
now this Jason Segel series.
I maybe wish I was Bill Lawrence's child.
There you go.
What a good pay.
But it should be a bunch of different people. I mean, in my perfect dream, it would be like drastically different people. It would be really off Avengers. Things picked up a little bit when we grabbed She-Hulk, America Chavez, and this new non-gender specific Hawkeye, who is fucking great. But we got nowhere with them. The buildup of grabbing team members. I appreciate the methodical, we're going to get them, and then we're going to get them, and then when everybody's together, we're going to go on our first mission. I actually like that as a format. But the problem is, if a bunch of the Avengers aren't super exciting to begin with, which I did not feel a bunch of them were, and then we got some exciting ones, and then now I'm a little too revved up because I'm like, yeah, I've been bored for so long, and then you got me a little excited. Now I'm like I'm a little bit jittery, and then we do this first storyline, and I so wanted it to be cool. Because I love the Immortal Weapons, and I had really high hopes for what a different take on that could be.
No, then Fat Cobra went ahead and pulled a fucking Hank Pym and ate Jen.
No, Blob eats Jen.
I thought it was Fat Cobra. Oh, I'm sorry. I was referring to when Hank...
Yeah, when he puts the jar over her and pesticides her. Yeah, no. She just fully has the worst life in that Ultimate Universe. Blob eats her, though.
You are very right, man.
Yeah.
Jeff Loeb, I'm so glad that after Ultimatum, they're giving you Hush, too.
And truly. I even commented that to Jake. I was like, yeah, Ultimates is fine, but we are here doing this exact same thing with Janet. And you immediately knew that editorial was going to be like, hey, you can't do that. And he was like, no, I got a plan. Don't get me wrong. It was cute that she embiggens inside a Fat Cobra and wrecks his shit. That is what should have happened in the original one. It was great. That was a great little moment. But all of the megaton Hiroshima slap, all of the technique names that are named after missiles and nuclear stuff, it's just a little too oh, you listen to Limp Bizkit too, my friend?
I have this really clear thought that I've been trying to find ways to say, because me and TK, we are fucking living the blue sky life. We've fuck you X, fuck it, and we're over. Even though hi everybody on X, hi, come find us on Blue Sky.
Yeah, please. We're not going to be here much longer, but we love you for now.
We love you for now, but man, we can't with this hellhole. So we're over on Blue Sky and we're having a great life, and I'm trying not to remake the same mistakes I've made in social media before on Blue Sky. I'm trying to be who I am and proudly express my thought experience. And one of the things that I'm seeking to do is not make the same sorts of errors, not just the same errors. So they said, okay, we can't take a major hero like Ant-Man and ruin him by pesticiding the Wasp, because that's ruined Hank Pym, and the fallout from that has been felt in the MCU. Oh, so now we're living in a post-MCU where our vilification of our heroes depends on the ability to do that with a movie not affecting their shit, which is exactly what we were talking about with Jenny Sparks last week. So then as I'm thinking about this, you're telling me the way to, and thank you for correcting me that it was Blob, you're telling me the way to make it not a recognizable white character from the 60s is to ruin an Asian minority from a fan favorite series from the 2000s. Got it. From there, I also want to say something that also happens to me is when you see somebody do something outlandish, and I'm going to use an over-the-top example for a minute, but if somebody does something either in music, they sing a note that no one's ever sung before, or they sing it in a way that nobody can be, it's Vitas doing aria, you know what I mean? Or it's I'm gonna even say something funny, Rocco Steele walks into his first scene, and it's like no one's ever looked like that before. So then every gay daddy porn star imitates that. It's the way we've all been doing Shades of Tom Finland for the last 60 years. And so, as somebody who prides himself on being Nico of Jersey, like the expression of this idea becomes you're paying tribute to this beautiful thing that Fraction and Brubaker appropriated in a long line of great creators who have done so and have since apologized and done work to make it better. But you're talking about an idea that was so unique and so beautiful and so special, and the way you paid tribute to it was to vilify them, kill one of them quickly, and by making him, it's fatphobic actually, because it's not exactly misogynist that a man put a woman in his mouth and devoured her, though it is kind of misogynist and problematic, but it is fatphobic that he ate her. And there is something a little bit where, like, the way we improved the quality of doing that to a white man was to do it to an Asian man, and that does not feel better.
And on top of that, like, he eats her and that kills him because you deserve to die if you eat. You know what I like? It's
even King's thinner.
Listen, don't talk about my people's culture like that. I mean, everything you're saying is exactly right. Again, my thing is just like, if I'm the editor and I get that script, I simply say, like, okay, we're going to have to do some stuff differently. And especially because, I don't know, I mean, like, I don't know. This is one of those things that's a little tough because I don't know if the immortal weapons now, because they are associated with Asian and Asian adjacent cultures, if that's important for people that they stay that way, or if this might have worked if they were called the immortal weapons, but it had nothing to do with any specific culture. And again, like, the fact that it is just broadly kind of pan-Asian, again, it's mystical, so it's not situated in any one place, but that they are all related to nuclear bombs and
I'm sorry, and just to jump on it, but like, this is Bruce Banner is the Hulk, right? We have no reason to think it's not Bruce. Oh, so right. A white guy is the savior of all 7 capital cities of Kunlun?
Pop that. I don't know if it's Bruce Banner, but I'm looking into it right now, but I think it is.
And so then we automatically wind up in white savior shit again, and don't get me wrong, he has colonized the 7 capital cities. They make that, like, they are his victims, but like, it does wind up in a certain trope of storytelling. I'm not saying I necessarily want more like Asian villains. Like, I'm not saying, do that. Because we got that with the original story when Dwayne Swarzynski and Travel Foreman did the last run before it turned over to Immortal Weapons, and we got the 5-issue mini that was so good. I don't know. I also felt like some of my favorite characters are like Dog Brother and Bride of Nine Spiders. Like, these are some of my favorite characters in the Marvel Ninjaverse, right? And so I find myself frustrated that they didn't even have personalities. Oh my god, Tiger's beautiful daughter! Prince of Orphans! I can't stop!
And it does appear it's Bruce Banner. So yeah, I mean, there is the colonizer aspect to it. I just, like, I don't know. The fact that there's the nuclear aspect too, which, shades of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Thank you for adding that important level of realism to the conversation.
I mean, it's just like, again, like, I get what you're doing. Okay, I would have, as the editor, I would have said they need to be from everywhere. Maybe we pull out the nuclear bomb language and we change it to, like, cosmic radiation language, quasars and black hole. There's so many ways to go about this that just don't feel so icky. And this is just like, I get into it.
I have Marvelitis.
Yeah, man. I just get worried because what really fucked the original Ultimate Universe over was trying to do this kind of edginess. And I see that this is a toned down, more thought out version, but also, is it? I don't know. Yeah, this is definitely a CC minus for me. And it is this is a highs and lows C- because again, Hawkeye, a character, really great writing, really cool. She-Hulk, really cool, because again, that's why I'm just like, you wrote She-Hulk, so you knew that we needed to, and I guess maybe the whole point is like, we're gonna get somewhere with this that buys it back. But that's really tough sometimes to have happen in a serial book. Particularly like when you have to buy back stuff that's a little offensive almost. But She-Hulk, as a resident of an atoll that was a place where nuclear bombs were experimented and is essentially, mutated because of that, but is the only person for whom it is an advantage. Very cool character. America Chavez is always a cool character. I love that we're doing it seems like we're maybe doing like a Nexus being thing here. But those A moments are really saddled by like how completely bored I am with the Avengers who are just Avengers by another name, by any other name, by weird semi-offensive plots, by like just not being... Spoilers, please click away for like 2 seconds while I say this. It's not going to be very long, but I don't really care if Iron Lad's actually dead or not. That just wasn't... I will say I was a little bit like, this universe has not told us what it is yet, so maybe he really is dead, and like that's how things are going to be here, and that'll be cool to see. But do I care about if Tony Stark the kid is dead? Like, was I emotionally affected by that? Was I rooting for him to the point that this feels like a real gut punch? No, my thing is like figuring out how editorial is perceiving this universe.
And in regard of all of that, so when I'm thinking about the Ultimate Universe, I'm thinking about like, it must have been like two guys got together, like two like the older editors got together, and they said, how can we take this thing that we've lost back? And they sat down and they said, so it used to be this thing, it used to have this name. How can we reclaim that? How can we get our word out there in black and white to lots and lots of people? And they turned to younger, brilliant minds and they said, we need your help. And they turned to their own family and they said, how can we rebirth the Bugle? Because, oh my God, Ben and Jay Jonah are such a meta fucking commentary for Hickman and whoever the ultimate editor is, rebirthing this thing from the great mother vagina that is all things ultimate. I'm so chagrined by the, intentional or not, meta that seeped in where these two men who are somehow even older than the guy they say is too old to be Spider-Man because Spider-Man should never be older than 28 years old. Why are they getting the most page time? And don't get me wrong, as a daddy's old man. But like, why?
You can't have it all, guys. If you wanted to do this really streamlined, just 4-book universe, maybe 5-book universe, sure, okay, I'll read them. I'm picking them up. Okay, I'm talking about them. You can't cram 2 books into one just because you really wish you also got to have Frontline,
the Pulse, Frontline. Whatever it is this time.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it's a cool book, and like I like this plot. I love the idea of them. And don't get me wrong. Also, you can have A and B plots. But
for the record, this is the A plot because the title of Volume 2 is The Paper. Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, The Paper. I'm not.
Is it really? Oh my God, I didn't know that. You can have A and B plots. This is taking up so much space. And again, it's really feeling like such a stand-in moment. It really feels like there's so much passion here, and not even in a bad way. But
Sorkin and Schlamy writing themselves in.
Yeah, it is that. And you can't, then you guys need to publish that book. You need to publish Ultimate Frontline, and it should be this book. I loved that they how they are interacting with all our main characters, how everybody's lives are weaved together, how it's a family. This could be, gear up for the reference, kiddos. This could be Grey's Anatomy in Station 19. Like, they can absolutely be weaving back and forth. Chandra Wilson can be in both books. And it could be great, but it is really taking up so much space, and all to get to, I mean, like, it's going to do other stuff too, but so much is like trying to get us to this moment that we just had where Ben is like, hey, I'm not dumb. I know you're Spider-Man. Sure, cute, cool, fine, whatever. It is really pulling focus from Spider-Man, and that's okay too. It's just, if you don't have the right balance, things get very confused. And because you also are trying to have a sort of C-plot of what the villains are up to, and it feels like we kind of don't get enough of an idea of what the villains are up to, such that I don't really care. Like, they're just menacing Spider-Man in the city because villainy. Because we only get like 2 or 3 pages, and they're always just for one little purpose. It's always just like, they show up and they're like, man, this Spider-Man's a real tough cookie. And then it's like, right, but I've got the solution, my hot daughter. Okay, so all of this was just to introduce Felicia Hardy.
And that went so well for Tombstone.
True. I don't even want to get into Ultimate Tombstone.
No, he would just be a pizza. So I think my other big thing that I'm taking away from Ultimate Spider-Man is, like, I like to sit at my guitar and my piano, and like tonight I did an Alanis suite. I started with Uninvited. I did Hands Clean, and I did Thank You. And I felt like I healed something by just moving through that. And I am so lucky that when I've hit my vape a few too many times and I have my acoustic guitar in my hands, I am in the privacy of my own ass, and I can just sing whatever I want. And I only shared with you the songs that weren't embarrassing. No one's saying that I would be good. And so it's great. And the problem is there are times that John Hickman is putting this on display for all of us. And I wonder very much how much John Hickman is projecting his own marriage onto the page, because I know I unintentionally do it all the time. And so when I see John Hickman write Peter's wife as secretly working behind the scenes to keep everything running so that Peter never experiences a lapse, like, it's almost impossible to imagine, but like, MJ spends every minute of her life making sure that Peter's never falls. And I would hate to have the tensile strength of that bridge, because as a Peter, I could never. My job is to swing through life and make everybody's life better. And I don't know what it's like to be a Mary Jane. I think there's something so telling in his acoustic guitar cover confessional that John Hickman is portraying a deft understanding of women in this book that I feel is born of perhaps having a partner that loves you.
Am I a Mary Jane?
Well, you're a really angry Mary Jane, so you're kind of like, I don't know, like,
am I a Spinnerette?
Oh my God, there you go. That's great. Yeah, no, but I mean, like, yeah.
I mean, like, I was vibing with Mary Jane these last few issues. Like, she's taking care of business.
Peter. I'm Peter. I'm 200% Peter.
She's taking care of business. She's got the money. She's taking care of shit. She's okay with what's going on here. You know, she's keeping everybody together, which is very much my shit and my vibe. Break Yourself says 99% of high production is cringe in retrospect, 75% of drunk production. Yeah, I mean, those are about my numbers. There may be other substances in the mix, and I think I sometimes produce great work on those, but that's for another podcast. Mary Jane is great. Gwen is great. I don't know. This book charms me. Here's the thing about this book. This is who the man that we met a few years ago on Earth 982, the Spider-Girl Worlds, MC2. This is what that Peter Parker should have been. This is kind of how that Mary Jane was, except for they were so suburban and they were always so poor in a way that was like, it was like screwball comedy, like, oh, I had literally $100,000, but it fell down the sewer. And
no, yeah, they were always very clearly Queens poor, not Bronx poor, you know.
And now everyone hates us.
From the Bronx. My parents grew up on Fordham in Jamaica. I get to say it.
Well, they already loved us. So anyway, Earth 982 was weird, and it was written by kind of a very cool, but in a lot of ways very lame old white guy. And now there's a little more room for people to be like, you don't just shrivel up and die over 30 and like lose your ability to engage with culture and like, be young and want to go out and be vital. And so we have a Peter now who's just a little bit more he's a dad. He's got 2 kids, one of whom is not that much younger than Mayday was, but he's starting his Spider-Man career. He's not retiring. And so in a lot of ways I just really love this guy that is antithetical to the traditional wisdom that Spider-Man has to stay this sort of young person so that the young people can identify with him. Because in fact, I don't think most young people care about Peter Parker. I think more young people care about Miles Morales and other Spider people, and probably their own Spider-Sona. Because Marvel, you did that. You created the Spider-Verse, and now there's a spider bowl of ramen, like, which I love. There's also like Sakura Spider. I mean, there's so many cool ones. But I don't think people really care about Peter Parker being older or being younger. I think there's an audience that cares about identifying with somebody who they felt like they grew up with and they were watching grow up alongside them, only to at some point have him get knocked back to a younger status quo. So like seeing a Spider-Man who is my approximate age, even though I do not have kids and everything, it's always super fun. And this has been a fascinating study. That this is the book Hickman is on is not lost on me.
Well, and I think about how it's almost the curse of John Hickman. When you've hit that moment, when you've become the voice of comics for a generation by being the iterative name on Secret Wars, you know what I mean? Like, you change the face of comics for everyone forever. And I think about when, not to be an idiot, but like, yes, I think you and I would do an incredible Spider-Girl, and I can't wait for our Spider-Girl. But I just want to read your Slingers. That's what I want from you. And I know that if you got one title on X-Men, within 10 years, you would not be allowed to do dumb shit like Slingers. And I wonder if John Hickman has in his heart a desire to do Fallen Angels and is told he has to do New Mutants. And so in that regard, I wonder how much Jerry Duggan finally getting to do West Coast Avengers is, because he's always had that attraction to what I'm going to call characters. And when I think about the sound that would play between each scene to transition us from the sitcom version of West Coast Avengers, they would be like, hey, Tigra. And so it would be kind of that noise. Ultimate Spider-Man represents John Hickman inheriting something he had always avoided, and that is the incredible weight of running Spider-Man. West Coast Avengers almost seems like Jerry Duggan being like, fuck your spotlight. I'm going to be over here on what is his best reviewed #1 in 5 years.
Is it really?
Honestly, Jerry Duggan is a guy who got too big a spotlight. It's unfair because we even did it to him too. But like when we are told we are told you're Rocco Steele, all I can think to myself is, "Nah, that guy's bigger." And like when you're Jerry Duggan, all I can think is, "Nah, that guy did a better X-Men. That guy did a better Avengers." Stop telling me he's the only writer in town. It's what we're doing to Jed MacKay right now, and we won't be able to not do it until he's off the title, because societally we're being told exactly what Broke Yourself is saying. Break Yourself, taking on too much responsibility diminishes everything. Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb, I cannot fucking get over. I literally made 3 jokes today. How angry I am about Hush 2. I am literally having trouble calming down. How angry I am that you are ruining 2 of my all-time favorite creators of all time, putting them on a sequel to one of the greatest comic book stories ever told, because they can simply not live up to it. And I feel like what happened to Jerry Duggan is the funniest, smartest, most evolved, least homophobic, least high action violence version on Deadpool in 10 years comes along and gives us the sort of answer to the Daniel Way Thunderbolts with his Deadpool. And so much attention is given to his Marauders, which is the queer lady book. Why did a straight man write the queer lady book? I'm better suited to write in the queer lady book, and I think I should be shackled for doing it. So I feel like John Hickman had a gaffe with gods and everyone pretends he didn't. I forgot that Elton John had one other massive Broadway flop before Tammy Faye, until all of the articles that said, no, this is his second flop. Wise up, guys. Jerry Duggan had several flops in a row. He really could not stick a landing. This West Coast Avengers, this was a B+ kind of sort of for me. I don't know. I maybe even felt like it wasn't a Jerry Duggan book.
The way you knew it was a Jerry Duggan book is they brought up the fact that Emma Frost and Tony Stark were married, and he had a little post game on that, which I actually really do appreciate, because again, like I think we moved past Krakoa too quickly, and we've had non-specific time jumps. People are just kind of like, yeah, I can't believe that happened, but like the idea that Tony Stark is like, no, I was really in it, and emotionally, like, I'm not doing great. I think that that's important to see in here. This was not a super high grade for me. Definitely not higher than a B. I am very tired of the trope of thing that shouldn't be happening in comic. When people find out why thing is happening, they're not gonna be happy. Hint about weird connection to thing that makes you understand why they wouldn't be happy,
but refusing to tell us so that you have to buy 6 more issues,
right?
When you could have just told us
exactly.
3 issues from now and it wouldn't have felt artificially inflated.
You could have just told us, and you could have just not set up this whole thing. So in the case of West Coast Avengers, I'm of course talking about Ultron, who is not a hero. Clearly, we all know this. But in this book he is, and Tony trusts him and says that he's totally good to go. But Spider-Woman says when people find out why you trust him, they're going to be even more upset.
Because Spider-Woman, the most trustworthy woman in all of Marvel Comics. I've never seen her secretly invade
that
my
wasn't
stories.
her. That wasn't her.
I'm so sorry that her face got worn. Are we going to just start giving Tony a free pass for Avengers The Crossing? Or what about when he had his brain reset after Civil War? We're just splitting gay-ass West Coast Avenger hairs.
I
and
also...
Break yourself. I am so sassy.
He is so sassy. You got to deal with it.
So
it's usually me, so this is I feel like I'm chilling today. I didn't read Spider-Woman, and I'm wondering if Jerry Duggan maybe didn't either, but I do know that the whole point was she was going to go look for her child. Feel like maybe we might have mentioned the child, the most important thing in her life. She's very upset when he disappeared, so I think we'd mention it.
Well, I would like to remind you, what's the only thing worse than a woman looking for her child? a child. So that's,
A terrible version of that joke, but I love where you're going.
no, but I actually mean that about comics. Like, legitimately,
Yes.
what's the only thing worse than a superhero obsessed with looking for their child?
The actual child.
That
Yeah.
has to write in an actual child.
Yeah. No, it's true. You're right. I mean, I don't know. It was fine. It was not bad. I just like the West Coast Avengers went from being a very 90s idea to being like a funny book about how like culture is so different on the West Coast and in LA that like making a superhero book work there is kind of silly in and of itself in a way that like we should play with. And now we're just a little too serious again. Iron Man, Rhodey, Spider-Woman, Ultron. Am I missing one? Oh, it's a superhero reform program. That's right. So we're going to just be seeing random villains. Okay. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
And I think that's even part of the point. Like, they want us to give everything kind of a chance. For that, I'm here. I'm willing to give this book a chance because one of the things that I feel very much like is too often the Marvel Universe has not been giving books a chance. And with that in mind, I'm just here to have a good time. Jerry Duggan, you have not really captured my heart in a heart minute. Good for you. Not a heart minute either. And I feel like one of the biggest problems that Jerry Duggan books run into is the high profile nature. Iron Man is the most high profile character in this book, and gosh darn it, does no one give a shit about Iron Man if it's not on a big screen. And that's to the incredible loss of what is a very good Iron Man run going on. 2 issues in, I'm having a great time on this Iron Man run. And I feel like, can you remind me the name of the excellent writer working on Iron Man right now?
Spencer Ackerman.
Thank you so much. Spencer Ackerman is doing an incredible job creating a timeless Iron Man tale instead of a generic Iron Man tale. And I don't know that that's necessarily feeling reflected here. This feels like more of Duggan's Tony. While few people can do this, something I will say is Mark Waid always knows how to write your version of the character when you're the writer. And this felt like Duggan's Iron Man, not like Spencer Ackerman's Iron Man. So I will give it that ding as well. I think I'm going to knock it down to a B for that, for sure.
And I'll say this, I loved his Iron Man. I thought the only person who I can imagine being more appropriate for Iron Man is Spencer Ackerman. So I've been eating for a while where Iron Man books are concerned. But like, I like straight white men writing straight white men. I'm very happy with that. And like, I love that Duggan, who is clearly such an ally and who weirdly gets a woman like Emma Frost, brought her in because he likes her and he likes using her, and you know, he could, and it made some degree of sense. Ultimately, like, when we got that hint that they were getting married, I was so furious. First I said that I loved it because I thought it was going to be a grift. I thought she was going to marry him and take all his money, which I thought was very funny. And then everybody got mad at me and said, no, they were definitely getting married for real. And to be fair, everybody was right. They did get married for real, kind of. But she wasn't grifting him. And anyway, I just ultimately, I was charmed by the whole thing. I thought it was very, he managed to have his cake and eat it too. He managed to let Marvel have their cake in terms of making that prediction and having it mean something, but not having it last, but have it have lasting consequences as he did here. I like that he still has a hold on Iron Man, but it's different than Spencer Ackerman's Iron Man. It is just the right place to be. And to break yourself's question, did Tony Stark make Emma Frost sign a prenup? No, because he didn't have any money.
Well, I mean, holla, we want prenup. Yeah, it's something that you need to have, because when she gonna leave your ass, she gonna leave with half.
No.
All right. Well, I guess she's not a diamond digger, but
Done. Yeah, no. At the time, Tony Stark it also he
oh
was
my
not.
God, we went now 9 subscribers. I'm kidding.
He was not married to legally. He was not married to Emma Frost. He was married to Hazel. What's her name? Yeah. So they didn't sign a prenup. Yeah.
Speaking of people who should sign a prenup, DC should absolutely sign a prenuptial agreement with Mark Waid, and I can't wait to talk about Justice League Unlimited, because if his ass ever leaves them, he should leave with half. He has every right. Final grade on West Coast Avengers, like I said, B+. Grade on Iron Man this week, B+ as well. No, final grade on West Coast Avengers, B. I degraded it, and then Iron Man definitely B+.
I think I'm in the same boat.
All right, Justice League Unlimited, A. Not even an A-. Airwave is a longtime favorite of mine. Airwave is a character that exists as a result of realizing that a Golden Age character had the last name Jordan, making him Hal Jordan's uncle, and then making this character Hal Jordan's cousin. So I've read every appearance of Airwave. This is a character that I very love. I have pretty incredibly well organized documents that keep track of all of my notes, having read the things I've read, and I've been doing this Green Lantern read from the start of Hal Jordan, and I think it's like 57 or 59, and going all the way up through where I am now is I'm in 99 in my read through, but like there's characters I'll jump out of order for. Airwave is one of them, because there's only like 38 or 37 appearances of the original Airwave that really matter, that are just like background garbage appearances. Fuck, Justice League Unlimited. What a book. What a book. What a book. What a book. Dan Mora draws my dreams. His Superman is why I put on this Superman hoodie today. He really knows how to make that S fill a chest. No, this was my book of the month, man. This was such a fucking time. This was a time. Rayanne Graff looking right at Angela Chase. We had a time.
I think it is a big promise when you name a book Justice League Unlimited.
Yes.
And I fully bought in. I said, okay, you called it that. My expectations are very high. I believe you will be giving me Justice League Unlimited, so I will be coming for Justice League Unlimited. And if you don't serve Justice League Unlimited, I will be leaving and I will not be paying. And lo and behold, did I get more Justice League Unlimited than my little head or heart could handle. And they set themselves up for this. I really do give DC so much credit. They had a fantastic crossover event that ended with them saying we all need to be together, and which is just horribly ill-advised, of course, but it one target, and it keeps coming up that there's, the Question knows there's a problem. The people in this book are telling the heroes there's a problem. Airwave is the problem. There's so much happening that says that this is a bad idea, but for the reader, it is so fun for everybody to be in one place. Like, that is the dream. It is something that Marvel never gives us, and it always really bums me out. I do love that we have discussions about the fact that the Avengers are like kind of randomly racist a lot of the time and don't help mutants. But I don't love that we never have the discussion of the mutants being like, oh man, I too have been in the position of like not being able to save everybody, and like I get how this is complicated, and like, can we all just have a large mansion that we all go to, or a satellite in space or something? They've done a few like everybody is an Avenger thing. Have we done one since everybody showed up to kill Wanda?
Blood Hunt, I guess.
Yeah. We haven't done one in a while where they say everyone is an Avenger.
I feel like we're due for one. Maybe that's the next crossover. Maybe that's how we're gonna fight Doom.
Yes. So I don't know. It just like, it is fan servicey in the best possible way, and I love that. Like, I'm not even technically really a fan yet. I'm a silent observer and a researcher. And I'm still feeling the fan service. Like, I just had a lot of fun with this. And I love seeing the Watchtower and all of these Justice League heroes hanging out, and just seeing people in the background that I know are important, and figuring out that Wonder Woman's nickname for Red Tornado is Ready. There's just so much fun stuff happening.
And that's even part of the excitement with Justice League Unlimited. When you add a new adjective or a new title of being, absolute, I'm excited. Unlimited, I'm excited. Bringing back Ultimate, I was excited. There are things you can do to sort of give me that high energy vibe. In Marvel, you can add the word infinite or infinity, and all of a sudden it becomes like a unique property within that franchise. Justice League feels like something that is always going to be the main kind of like banner bearer of the DC universe. It's going to have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, etc. And they're going to be doing what they do. But something called Justice League Unlimited, it feels like it has the time and the opportunity to dive into a character like Larry, to dive into Airwave and give us an opportunity to get to know him better as this new iteration in the all-in era. I am so grateful to the idea that in a world where I feel like we're still occasionally begging for Laura Kinney Wolverine to run alongside Wolverine, where we're still begging for Elektra Daredevil to run alongside Matt Murdock Daredevil. I guess I'm just asking for Erica Schultz to get work. But in this world, wow, I guess Erica Schultz is a 2020s and the Senti. Good for her. I'm really grateful that Justice League Unlimited gives me the opportunity to interact with 6 or 7 of those characters at once, though I think each one of them could hold down their own title.
Yeah, I can't speak to the characters that could or couldn't hold down their own title, but I do love this book and I love these characters, and for me this is the Justice League sampler platter, and it's the Justice League smorgasbord.
Except fuck your Hush 2 preview. That was bad.
I did definitely wonder about that.
That was bad. That was so bad. That was like an advertisement, and you know what? Honestly, however many people are watching us right now, 110% of them are coming for me for saying obviously the thing called an advertisement was an advertisement. But I would have maybe gotten more from just that final splash page than I got from all of that, holding a doll of Nightwing, holding a doll of Batman. It just didn't give me anything. And to put it on the cover, to say this warrants advertisement on the cover of a book it's not a part of, to signal a title that's coming in April, this did not feel like the move. And it almost felt amateurish in a Marvel way. It felt like sticking the preview for Ultimate Spider-Man #1 in the back of Amazing Spider-Man number 812. Just it did not feel organic, and I expect a little bit better of something that is going to bear Hush 2 as a title. Yeah, break yourself. It felt like taking the audience for granted. It really did. I felt very taken for granted. I don't talk about Batman books like Hush or No Man's Land lightly, so don't conjure it if you're not going to use the spirit. Teak, got anything left on Justice League Unlimited?
No, I just loved it.
Loved it. Okay, but you know what I gay loved? You know what I $1 billion baby loved? I loved Black Canary. And you know why? Because I love a book where you can smell the testosterone and cum. I do. I love the issues of 100 Bullets that are just 2 guys punching each other till they're fucking dead. I stayed up and watched that stupid fucking half fight on Netflix. I love pugilists. I love when people punch each other in the head. I don't know why. And when it's women, and so it works for me. I love the way Tom King crafts a narrative about physical being, a narrative about physical body. there's something about the way this felt very masculine. This felt like men. And everyone in the DC universe was lining up to watch these men. But the idea that they were women, and that I would say that Lady Shiva is probably best known by one of her students and her daughter. And I would say that, unfortunately, for all it's worth, Dinah is probably best known for her love interest. This managed to shake the barriers that hold women back, and it made it somehow an expression of strength on the page that I was pretty grateful for. Oh, also Ryan Sook can draw anything.
Gorgeous art, very cool concept. This may be the first comic I have ever read where I said to myself, this comic should have been a podcast.
Ah, okay, fascinating.
Exceedingly wordy.
Oh, yeah, no, he got paid by the character.
Exceedingly wordy, and the words were very vibey with what was happening. Like it was a very well written approximation and facsimile of describing a fight between two, enhanced super people. I don't know if Lady Shiva really is, but she's still. She's trained if she's not powered.
She trained Batman, so
yeah,
she's
exactly
powered enough to train Batman.
She's got the powers of that much fighting prowess. So very, very well written, but this is a comic. And so there were a lot of times where I'm like, these blocks of text are taking up so much space. It's like getting in the way, and it's constant. It was constant throughout. I did not think anything about the writing was bad. I didn't think anything about the art was bad. I thought they were combined in a way that didn't serve either very well. But I will be interested to see where the next book takes us.
It's really interesting because I'm not a big Black Canary fan. I actually have a Dinah up on my shelf up there. I have the Dinah as a Green Lantern from Deceased, or Blackest Night. I don't remember. But it's tough because I liked this. I think because I like ladies that punch. But as we're talking about it, I guess you could have told me this was actually Laura Kinney punching Elektra. You could have convinced me. In fact, these two people could have stood in for those two characters. Though I think most people compare Black Canary to Black Widow, just to sort of oversimplify. That's part of why Black Widow is always connected to Hawkeye to keep that kind of connection going. I really hear why this book didn't work for you. And it continues to work for me in the way that, when people come to me and go, no, 100 bullets is garbage, and let me tell you why, I go, nope. I want you to know, I already agree with you. Say everything now. Go. I'm not going to argue with any of it. I don't think I really have a leg to stand on to disagree with you about this. I think what we're talking about is a difference in stylization when it comes to familiarity. If you know this universe, if you know these people, if you're familiar with the way it all goes down, it feels like stepping into a regular thing. But think about being at your first boxing match. You would be thrown off. You would have to ask yourself, is this right? Did that person just get their nose broken? Are they going to get back up? Wait, does that count as a point? And I really get how maybe even the setup itself is a lot to take in. Break yourself, blonde or redheads, not to insult my beautiful blonde co-host right here, who I think is one of the hottest men on the planet. It's redheads.
And very fakely blonde, so we're okay.
So he could go redhead anytime he wants, and it would be set to go. Could you be a ginger TK? Would you feel confident being a ginger TK?
I would be a Jean Grey ginger. I'd be Jean Grey red.
Okay.
I'd be Marsha Cross red.
For the last year I had hair, I dyed my scalp red. Let's put it that way. And it was a look, man. I went bright red for the last year I had hair.
Speaking of Marcia Cross, I don't know which book you guys were reading where someone takes the wig off.
Yeah,
and I
yes, there was
immediately
this
look
book.
over and
That
say,
was I was going to bring that up, Kevo. Yes.
immediately-
Yes.
I
was going to
immediately
bring
just
that
look
up.
at him and go, Kimberly. So,
Because I thought there were times that Dinah's mom, perhaps, and I'm not sure how cancelable this is, but I did in fact think that there were times that Dinah's mom looked like Felicity in Transamerica.
I mean, I do think she looked like Felicity Huffman. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there were times she was drawn very specifically with a very masculine attitude about her face. That did not seem like it felt unintentional. The other big thing that I want to talk about out of these two universes this last week is the fact that this year is ending. And it's hard to even think about what it means that we sort of artificially and randomly point at the Gregorian calendar. I almost said the Gregorian calendar. It's so Gregorian. We point at the Gregorian calendar and we say, all right, this is the point at which we're going to arbitrarily reset things. I'm, a very proud pagan. I'm a proud practicing witch. Love it. Real cool for me. And one of the things is I don't really do the reset point by the year. For me, fall initiates the beginning of new things. And that works for me because I'm attuned to what I'm going to call the media schedule. New shows drop in the fall. Big Oscar bait movies drop in the fall. Big new albums drop in the fall. Grammy bait drops in the fall. Oscar bait drops in the fall. And so we get into this position of where there are certain moments that define our credibility and our critical reception. And they're sort of driven around times of the year. Whatever comes out in early winter, like 2025, is just setting up whatever comes out in the spring. Whatever comes out in the spring is going to bring us to that summer crossover. And the summer crossover is going to result in the new slate of publishing that rushes out for us in September, October. And that's part of where my brain is really attuned right now. I'm thinking about the things that we were just told are ending. And I'm thinking about the things that are shifting around. As Chip Zdarsky winds down his Batman run, one thing is certain. Batman and Spider-Man always keep an understanding of each other's titles because so few characters can run so many books. It is of note that right around the time Hush 2 starts, The 8 Deaths of Spider-Man should be winding down. So we'll be getting ready for Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, two of the combined average oldest age creators to be sitting on a major title, make their way into this book. And I'm one of like 6 people with a good Jeff Loeb story on the entire fucking internet. The man treated me like his family. He made me feel so loved and so respected, and he just validated my existence. I shared with him that I had like medical struggles, and that when I was at my darkest moments and struggling with addiction, his work brought me back from the darkness. And he came out from behind the table and just hugged me and stood with me and gave me things. Like, I have such a positive experience with Jeff Loeb that when all of that cancelable action came out, I was like, oh God, that's heartbreaking. No, that couldn't be true. But how heartbreaking that somebody I have such an experience with, so many people now will have a negative experience, and I need to take that into consideration. Obviously, Joe Kelly is a big favorite of mine. I'm very positive on him. He's not the youngest creator in the universe. I'm very curious how we were told a year ago, calm down, you're not getting Cable or Bishop. They're old, they're wrinkly, and they're basically the white and black version of each other, so calm down. And now all of a sudden they're co-starring in an end-of-year special that fit the rage of the older audience that loves them, the powerful black audience that loves them. And if we're going to talk about Bishop for 1 second, let's please remember that Will Spartaccio created him intending him to be a dark-skinned Filipino person. And so there are still a lot of Filipino readers who attached so much to the Whilce Portacio identity of the character and still identify with that character despite the fact that he has never been given Filipino ancestry and instead has been given various shades of Black and Aboriginal ancestry. So I think we are looking at a period where obviously the world is in a state of flux, and a lot of people had no idea what a fucking tariff was because they never took 7th grade history, neither did their president. So my thought on it is, specifically, a year from now, we could be looking at a timeless that features the Young Avengers, and a year after that, the Young Avengers series could be the most popular D+ series of all time, because Agatha all along is statistically the most successful D+ show of all time. So you don't know where it's coming from, you don't know how it's going to go, and you certainly don't know the shape it's going to take in the next year. I am overjoyed. I actually have an outfit I am saving for our final broadcast of the year. It's a giant Marvel Comics onesie that hot older boyfriend bought for me. And I am so excited to wear it on air because I think 2025 has the potential to give Marvel legs it hasn't had since, gosh, MODOK longs for these legs.
I wish I shared your optimism. I mean, I feed vicariously off of it from you, so at least there's that.
But that's even part of what I'm like excited about. You know, you're saying that you hope that my positivity carries this thing, but like, I think what I even want to say is I'm ready for 2025 to be a disaster shit show. I'm ready for it to be the beach house catching on fire. I have no idea which show had a beach house catch on fire, but Kevo, did Melrose Place? Oh yeah, no, duh, of course, Michael's. So I'm ready for the Marvel beach house to catch on fire, but what I feel like will come out of it is what the Phoenix is actually meant to represent. You know, think about the fact that the Phoenix was the giant size 94 through 100. Phoenix was roughly the 8th or 9th issue of New Uncanny X-Men to come out, and it is literally the thing that changed comics forever. You know, think about the fact that Daredevil didn't get ninjas until Frank Miller in the 70s. There's 15 years of Daredevil that does not fit the narrative of Daredevil we talk about. Think about how long it took for me to find you. Think about how many episodes of this show don't have you, and how long it took for the narrative, the experience, the tone of what this would always be forever to come into play. Whether 2025 is a grand victory, whether 2025 is a Justice League Unlimited or a Black Canary, I think we are prepared for what could be a transformational moment at Marvel, because this Ultimate Universe and, oh god, what was that Avengers title I just loved so much and then it was nothing?
Twilight.
Thank you. Because if they take the lessons of, when you said we're going toward a Nexus being, my thought was, oh my god, what if all the Nexus beings come together? What if Maker as a Nexus being comes over and works with Jean and Wanda? And what if that connects with a Nexus being from Twilight? And what if we get a Crisis on Infinite Nexus Earths at Marvel? No one's going to like it when it comes out, but a year later, they're all going to think, wow, what a great crossover. What a great era. Look at House of M. Look at Secret Wars. These were critically not received well eras that now everybody's like, give me the Omni. So
yeah, I mean, now that I've gotten so into DC, I'm sort of wishing Marvel would take a few lessons from them. I think they both need to take more lessons from each other. It's so funny, the stupid stuff that they steal from each other when they should really be stealing their great concepts. But Marvel needs to do something like a Crisis. Marvel really needs to reckon with its multiverse, because its multiverse is actually so strong. And we used to play around in it a lot, and we used to go, we used to have exiles, and we used to go to other universes. And I mean, I guess we still do. We had that Weapon X-Men book, and we've had books where we do it.
Oh my God, what happened to all the follow up from that was supposed to happen?
Who the heck knows? But I really wish that we would see something akin to Secret Wars, but with consequences. When DC does them, they always run face first into them, and then it's like, listen, guys, I know this is going to be the most confusing thing we've ever said to you, but after this event, Batman is the Batman from this universe, and the Wonder Woman is a different Wonder Woman, but she still has all the memories of that Wonder Woman. There are now 3 Supermen. There's Sue, there's Purr, and there is Man. One of them is a cat. We'll tell you about it later. And then they're like, this is just the status quo until the next one of these, and you all have to figure it out.
If the DC Trinity were a woman named Sue, a cat named Purr, and a dude named Man.
Yep.
That would literally be the DC Trinity as it exists right now.
Yep.
And I am so in love with you.
Yep.
Nothing matters.
Yep. So just, think about that. We got options.
Well, but can I also, I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, go for it. I'm good.
Kevo, babe, if you want to pop in, you should. One of the things that has been blowing my mind, and anybody who doesn't want MCU potential spoilers, sign off now, except the 2 of you. If one of you signs off right now, I will not think it's funny.
No spoilers.
Where am I going?
The rumor has been for 2 weeks that a Hulk project is coming out of the MCU, and Mark Ruffalo is in for secret meetings.
You're hyped
and
about this.
When I saw it, my first thought was, oh my God, it's Wolverine. And I posted it on one of my Reddit alts, and I got downvoted so many times that I deleted that Reddit alt. And then this afternoon, a blind item leaks that they are talking to Hugh Jackman to come in for a secret Marvel project. Lots of people are now assuming automatically we are looking at a Hulk versus Wolverine, in part because Mr. Jackman has once upon a time said, "Hey, wait, that's my Hugh Jackman."
No, the thing is, Broly.
I also, you guys couldn't see it, but I grew a kangaroo pouch for a moment.
I did.
Hugh Jackman, you could feel it. He also said he could feel it if somebody was going to get to fight the Hulk, and he would refuse to be the first Wolverine. Something like he would not be the first Wolverine and not fight the Hulk if it was an option. And so, like, I'm look, there's not a lot of things I want in this life. There's just not. But if one of them could be Wolverine and Hulk versus Department H, and maybe take on Abomination and Omega Red, fight some sort of like A-bomb Sirtooth, whatever, I don't care. What this movie could represent is exactly what Deadpool and Wolverine gave me. I went into Deadpool and Wolverine thinking that the Marvel Universe would forget how to laugh. I assumed they would take it too seriously, like they took Love and Thunder, and the response would be, oh, well, we balance it out with fart jokes. It's either A+ serious or D- serious. Deadpool and Wolverine was just like me doing a dramatic Dance to the Rock set medley of The Look, Joyride, and It Must Have Been Love. It was funny, it was moving, it was cool, it was fresh. You kind of forgot one of them existed. It was really fun to experience Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters. If they could do that with Hugh Jackman and do 3 movies, like a trilogy of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine I would feel legitimately elevated. And yes, break yourself. All Aussies have porn star names. Look at Kimbra. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel a little differently because I'm sick of Hugh Jackman.
The only thing I want for my
I'm-
birthday is tickets to his Radio City residence.
No. I mean, I
don't
love
understand
the man. I'm sick of
He
Hugh
means
Jackman's
as
Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Yeah, I just this is worse than Robert Downey Jr. syndrome. Like we
Yes,
have to
it
move
is.
on. Certainly, if we're gonna keep him, you can't have a Scott and Jean Logan love triangle. He's not going to be able to do this in 10 years. The X-Men movie is not getting made for another 5.
Just give him Trent. He'll be
There's-
fine.
There's a saving grace that I don't know how well audiences are going to accept, but is there in that he is already not the Wolverine that we grew up with if he is the one that we met in Deadpool and Wolverine. He is a different one, and so we could have this be a Wolverine that gets to do fun, cool solo stuff that doesn't really affect main narrative, and hopefully, potentially, actually introduce a new Wolverine. Because the thing is, I'm not necessarily sick of Hugh Jackman Wolverine, but something I am sick to death of hearing is he's the only one. That is ludicrous. It is ludicrous to say that any actor is the only one who can ever play a character. Someone can have the definitive or a definitive take, but it becomes troubling when you start to say only one actor can play a character. Well, in the first place, only one artist never drew them, only one artist never wrote them. So no one else can ever play that character in any adaptation ever again. That's just ridiculous. We, like you said, we can't have a Wolverine Jean Scott love triangle and introduce Scott and Jean at a relatively young age in any way, shape, or form. So it becomes really awkward. I think you can do both simultaneously because of multiverse stuff, and I hope they do. But yeah, we become just stuck on this. And I want to see him fight the Hulk and maybe whoever else you can name for a trilogy. But I also want us to be able to move the X-Men forward and not stay stuck.
Real quick, break yourself. Do you know me in person? Are you secretly a person named Maddie? Because the amount you seem to know about my fandom is unsettling and uncanny. Yes, no one was asking for that version of Wolverine from Earth X. What was Alex Kruger thinking? No, Jim Kruger, Alex Ross. What was the hybrid super name thinking? Legitimately. And, Kevo, exactly to that point, exactly to that, as you said it, I've never thought it more clearly, but is a comic book an album or a song? Because is the character a song or is the character the artist? I don't want to see Jean Grey iterated in weird ways any more than I want to see Tori Amos iterated in weird ways. But I really want to hear beautiful new takes on precious things by people who aren't Tori Amos. So
Yes.
I'm in a position where legitimately you just described exactly the person named him. I'm sorry, break yourself. Maddie is a straight Jew from Brooklyn. I'm not kidding. Anyway, the experience for me becomes understanding, is the character a song or is the character the artist? I'm here to say that for me, Wolverine is a song. And I want to hear Wolverine sung by a million people. I want to sing Wolverine, but I think TK's Wolverine is just as beautiful as mine. Kevo, I actually don't know that you have a Wolverine song in you, but I think you have an Akihiro song in you, who is his unbelievable queer son. I think you have a Laura Kinney song in you, who is his amazing queer daughter clone. I think you have so much to contribute to what is the bigger picture of the Wolverine song that it becomes immediately like, oh, well, it's not just a song, it's an artist, it's iterations. And so like this endless cycle of I brought it up last week with the editor of a very successful major comic book once said to me, so are you a fan of continuity or are you a fan of character? And I said, I think I'm a fan of both. Is it the song or the artist? It really winds up being which came first, the love or the love song. And as Butterfly Boucher said, which is more important in the long run?
It's something that we even kind of tangentially talked about a little bit on our recap of the Grey's Anatomy mid-season finale when we were talking about all of our love of soap operatic style storytelling, where you have these sweeping stories of characters over so many years, and so you get to see these characters evolve. And part of that too that we were talking about was the original intern acronym being magic, and then the latest batch from season 19 that they introduced to try and reinvigorate the show, also having those letters to try and again recapture. And we talk about which characters we think represent which of the originals, because it's about on a show like that you can't have people play the same character as a different actor, but you try to have the same character types be told in different ways like that. And that's something that, if you can have new versions of the character like you can with an adaptation like Marvel Comics, I don't see why you wouldn't.
TK, one of the things that really makes me think about is your connection to, for my money, indie artists, and the way that, like, the complicated way that we think about artist and character sort of shifts. Kevo, you are somebody who has followed the incredible property of Gargoyles through its many iterations, because the property is managed by one voice who shines through so powerfully. And TK, that is so reflective of how you've brought me to what is now my second favorite medium in the universe, audio drama. I compare that with how you and I share things like the DC comic universe, where I grew up. I'm at 32 years of reading the DC universe, and I believe you're at like 35 years of it, but you're at 35 years of reading the DC universe in this very spottier way. And so what you're bringing is just as valid, just as old, and just as potent, but it's not as a single controlled voice the way perhaps podcasting is, or maybe the first 4 seasons of Aaron Sorkin's The West Wing is, and then you go into 3 seasons where it's 9 people editing under John Wells, and it's not the same experience. Kevo, you are somebody who has followed the Marvel Universe because you follow joy. TK, you follow the Marvel Universe because you follow this thing that shaped you as a man. And now that it's so many different voices, as Kevo just kind of pointed out, we have to let these things evolve. How does that hear as somebody who's been in this fandom for so much longer, and I know respects the opinion of somebody who came 15 years ago?
Well, I mean, Kevo was saying what I was saying anyway. That's I want.
Well, broadcast over.
Yeah, done. That is exactly what I'm saying. Like, I want other voices. I like your idea of it's a song, and Kevo's suggestion of like functionally how Hugh Jackman can continue doing this. I'm okay with all of that. I personally am not going to be the first person in line at that Hugh Jackman movie, but that doesn't mean I don't think it should exist. I'm just, for my money, I'm gearing up for who's going to be taking on this role long term for the future. And I just don't think it's Hugh Jackman, and I'm just not interested in hearing more about Hugh Jackman until I have that other direction. I want to hear another song. We have heard the song of Hugh Jackman for so long, and it is not that it's a bad one, but I like many kinds of music, and I'm ready to set that aside for even just a little bit for something else. And in that same way, like, I was not done with my Robert Downey Jr. break before Marvel got cold feet and brought him back. So yeah, I mean, you can have it all, but you can't expect everybody to show up every time.
And that's even part of the relationship that I have with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I go to everything because I review it. And that's something that we talk about a lot on this show. I necessarily wouldn't go to Captain America Brave New World the weekend it comes out, but I'm gonna, because that's when it comes out. And if it weren't for this show, I'd probably just watch it on Disney Plus. I wouldn't necessarily have picked up every issue of every Ultimate title when it came out if it weren't for the fact that this show is part of what I do. I think we are entering an age where the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become so prolific, so proliferated, that everybody has the opportunity to engage with that iteration or walk away. I think people who want to say that their Robert Downey Jr. break isn't over after Endgame have every right to continue to say that. But for me, I'm ready for him to come back because I never got tired of him on Ally McBeal. So, listen, there's a lot of things after Less Than Zero that I'm fine with skipping, but Ally McBeal, no. So the bigger picture here for me is, if you want to come, but don't shit on things you don't want to be a part of, because I don't go up to your stuff and say, oh my God, I can't believe you're watching another, I don't know. I can't even think of anything that I actually shit on, like actively to have a hard time with. Like, I don't go out, I don't attack people's joy. That's just, I can't even make one up.
We didn't even shit on it, but like, they're still making Logans. No matter how many Agatha All-Alongs or how many the Acolytes they make, they're still making Logans and the boys. So like, don't worry about it. You're gonna get yours. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but like, everybody's got to take their good with their bad.
I do want to say that we might be making a joke about the boys, but we would never ever come for Garth Ennis, Derek Robertson, or Chase Crawford's piece.
No, and I even said we didn't shit on any of those.
No,
things.
I was just making a joke about Chase Crawford's very visible penis. But no, for real, like there's a point at which like it's called The Boys for like an ironic reason, and any poster with him on it is ironically The Boys. Anyway, I'm really excited that Kevo is also pointing out that we did an awesome episode covering gargoyles, because they did just announce a free comic book day Gargoyles Demona #0 to support the upcoming Demona regular series. There are some really cool Marvel and DC free comic book day things that have been announced. They all make me think that it's all in favor of MC unification, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. I want to end this broadcast. Everybody's been so patient with me. I just think these are the two greatest guys in the universe, so it's a hard time to stop talking. But, Kevo, what was your favorite thing we talked about today, and where can everybody find your handsome face?
Well, the thing that I think was my favorite thing you guys talked about today was you perfectly queuing me up to talk at the end of this broadcast with you mentioning how wonderful it's been to have TK in our program and how much we've been evolving and talking about how, all of our interests evolve, because today is a very special day for us. It is the 2-year anniversary since we started doing this, where we broadcast live. Rather than previously, we had exclusively pre-recorded our podcast brand, and Nico drove himself to the point of insanity, being the world's most amazing audio editor. And then he decided to just let us fools talk for ourselves live. So, we've been doing a pretty good job of it for the last 2 years, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's stressful at times, but we love getting on camera and talking for everyone. I love talking with you guys. I love the friends we've made along the way and the guests that we have. And I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to getting into this holiday season and talking about stuff like that. And we already have new stuff to talk about in the new year, like Traitors, Yellow Jackets, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 17 is going to be very wet. So I'm very excited. And like you said, change and time moving forward, and that's what we're doing over here on X's for Show. So definitely stick with us on YouTube, on Facebook if you like, any social. You can find the action pack at X's for Show.
And speaking of people who make me need to change and make me wet, TK, it has been, I think about just falling in love with your unbelievable face on the internet, and then getting to discover that you are the biggest hearted, angriest curmudgeon in the world.
There it is.
And,
all true.
You reminding me how to be a fan is how I got DC back. It's what gave me what is like literally 50% of my time back, whether it's watching DC things or reading DC things. I just escape, and it's because you've taken that escape with me. Whether it's a pleasure cruise or this is Gilligan's Island, you're in. So what was your favorite thing we talked about today? And where can everybody find you? And thank you for 2 years.
Thank you guys both for 2 years. You are amazing co-hosts, producers, friends, family, all of the above. We have such an amazing time together. And yeah, I mean, Nico, I can't thank you enough for giving me my first opportunity to podcast. This is like my passion and my love. So, you have been an incredible friend, mentor, absolutely everything. Kevo, I cannot thank you enough for all of the hard work you do, basically far too much to list. But anytime anything that I'm associated with has ever looked good or looked right, you have been there. Anytime it has sounded good, moved good, flowed good, anytime there's been turkeys in the background.
Did you like your turkey today?
I loved all of my turkey. After a day of turkey butchery, it was exactly what I needed. So thank you. But yeah, thank you both. I love you both. This is amazing. My favorite thing from this week, it's got to be Justice League Unlimited, right? I mean, what a fun book.
So good.
Yeah, and it just makes me very excited for my continued DC journey. I assume it's yours too?
Yeah. I think it had to be my favorite part of the week for what we covered. If there was something Marvel related that we didn't cover that was my favorite this week, honestly, it's been reading about the excitement for Marvel Rivals. It's been a really long time since a single game captured people's opinions. Snap wasn't the same because Snap really called in and I hate to say it this way because I don't mean elitist, but like a very specific type of thinker, a strategist type of game player.
Okay.
Rivals invites every type of game player. If you're a strategist, there's room for you. If you're melee, there's room for you. If you are a healer, there's room for you. Reading people's experience with Rivals. While we didn't talk about it on the show, absolutely my favorite part of the week, just trying to ensconce myself in what has been the excitement of this game for the last year. It's really cool. And I can't wait to start playing it and covering it on this channel as we launch into our live playthroughs. Because, you celebrate an anniversary with starting something new. So 2 years of being an amazing live channel. I can't wait to start streaming games, and it's going to be super exciting. So you should check us out at X is for Show, X is for Podcast, and HTML. But if you really want to find us, you should check us out over on Blue Sky. That's Kevo Really, that's TK Elemental, and I'm Nico Action, NICOACTION. You can find that on any social media as well as Nico Action, NICOACTION, MUSIC. You can check out tracks like the ones you've heard this episode and more, plus my Christmas mix. Hey! But then you can also check us out at X is for Show, X is for Podcast, and HTML. Cool. 3 things you guys can do for us: like, comment, and subscribe. Big fans. 3 things you guys can do for yourselves, though. Number 1, please stay safe. It is an important holiday that you all come together with your friends, give thanks, give givings, whatever, right? But really make sure that you're here for Black Friday, not because we want you to go shopping, but because we want to see your beautiful faces. Because if you be brave, you will get to evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, amazing. Who you are today, incredible. And who you will be tomorrow, even better. So we'll see you then. And until then, have a happy Thanksgiving. Turkey it up.
Bye.